The dreams began 3 months after Dr. Elijah Wade published his controversial paper on extraterrestrial intelligence. Each night brought the same sequence: stars wheeling overhead, the sensation of falling, then her voice, melodic and urgent, speaking an incomprehensible language. At 42, Elijah had built his career in xenolinguistics at Pacific Northwest University. His recent publication had stretched academic acceptance. Colleagues called it fascinating speculation, others called it career suicide. The first dream came on a rainy October night. The woman's voice had been faint, like a distant radio signal. By December, he could see her, tall with iridescent blue skin that shimmered with internal light. Her 3 eyes, arranged in a triangle, were deep purple without pupils yet somehow expressive. "I don't understand," Elijah would tell her each night. On the 27th night, something changed. Certain syllables began carrying meaning. Vala 10. Earth, remember. The words flickered between languages as if his sleeping mind was developing a translation algorithm. Elijah woke with a start, recording the fragments before they faded. She said Earth. She knows where we are. The next morning, his assistant Talia Reeves found him creating a phonetic alphabet based on the alien speech. "Dr. Wade? Are you okay?" Talia asked, noticing his disheveled appearance. "I've been having these dreams, Talia. Someone's trying to communicate with me." "You mean like, from another civilization?" "Yes. And last night, I understood some of it." He pointed to his notes. "She's telling me something about Earth, about remembering." There were numerical sequences too. Talia studied his work. "These sequences, they look like coordinates." Over the next weeks, the dreams intensified. The alien woman, who conveyed her name was Nestra, shared increasingly complex information. Elijah developed a rudimentary translation system, understanding about 30% of her communications. The coordinates pointed to Antarctica. Nestra emphasized urgency with phrases translating to "awakening time" and "before the darkness returns." By February, Elijah presented his findings to the university board. "Dr. Wade, the university cannot fund an Antarctic expedition based on dreams," said Dean Harriman. "These aren't just dreams," Elijah insisted. "The linguistic patterns match theoretical models for non-human communication. The mathematical sequences correspond to actual geographical coordinates." Professor Donovan leaned forward. "Have you considered these might be manifestations of stress? Your paper received significant criticism. I've undergone 3 psychological evaluations. This happens specifically during REM sleep, suggesting communication that bypasses normal sensory channels." The meeting ended with polite dismissals and suggestions for a sabbatical. That evening, Talia arrived at his apartment with unexpected company: Dr. Farida Kamal, a geophysicist specializing in Antarctic research, and Jonathan Turner, a wealthy tech entrepreneur. "Before you say anything," Talia began, "hear them out." Farida spoke first. "Those coordinates identify a region showing unusual thermal and electromagnetic anomalies. My team has monitored them for years but lacked funding for an expedition." Jonathan stepped forward. "Which is where I come in. I've financed stranger ventures with less compelling evidence." For the first time in months, Elijah felt hope. "There's something there. Someone trying to make contact." "Then let's find out what they want," Jonathan replied. That night, Nestra appeared more animated, her gaze intense with what seemed like relief. "Vala 10 Turek," she said, which translated as, "You are coming." "Yes, we're coming. But I need to understand more. Who are you? What will we find?" Nestra's form flickered. "We were before. We left guardians. Knowledge sleeps beneath the ice. Are you in Antarctica? My essence. My memory. The gateway." Her image began to fade. "Hurry. The cycle returns." Elijah woke, immediately recording everything, then called Talia. "We need to move quickly. Whatever's there has been waiting a very long time." 2 weeks later, a private cargo plane touched down near the Antarctic coast. Elijah, Talia, Farida, and Jonathan had been joined by Darius Okafor, a linguist specializing in ancient writing systems, and Lei Zhang, an engineer with extreme environment experience. As they unloaded equipment into the howling wind, Elijah gazed toward distant mountains concealing their destination. Something ancient waited beneath ice and rock, something that had reached across barriers separating conscious minds to find him. That night, in cramped quarters, Elijah dreamed of Nestra again. This time, the stars aligned into patterns he recognized, the same constellations visible from Antarctica. "We're close," he whispered. Nestra nodded, all 3 eyes blinking in sequence. "The sleeping city awakens for you, Elijah Wade. The circle completes." Antarctic winds howled across the frozen landscape as Elijah and his team loaded snowmobiles for the final leg of their journey. The coordinates from his dreams pointed to a location 30 miles inland, nestled within a mountain range untouched by previous expeditions. "Weather satellite shows a storm front moving in," Farida warned, studying her tablet. "We have a 48-hour window before conditions become unnavigable." Elijah nodded, securing equipment. The dreams had intensified since arriving in Antarctica. Nestra's presence felt almost tangible now, her urgency palpable. "Let's move," he called to the others. They traveled in pairs, Elijah with Talia, Farida with Jonathan, and Darius with Lei. The journey was punishing, temperatures falling to -40 as they navigated treacherous ice fields and narrow mountain passes. By nightfall, they made camp 10 miles from their destination. Inside his tent, Elijah fell into exhausted sleep. Nestra appeared immediately. "Close now," she said, her 3 eyes glowing brighter than before. "Others have searched but failed. The entrance reveals itself only to those who understand the patterns." "What patterns?" Elijah asked. "How will we recognize the entrance?" Nestra's form rippled as she extended a 6-fingered hand. Symbols appeared in the air between them, intricate geometric shapes that shifted and rotated. "The key is in the stars," she said. "As above, so below." Elijah woke at dawn with the symbols burned into his memory. He sketched them quickly, showing the others over breakfast. "These configurations," Darius said, examining the drawings. "They resemble astronomical alignments from approximately 75,000 years ago." "That's impossible," Jonathan protested. "Modern humans barely existed then." "Perhaps we weren't the first intelligent species to evolve on Earth," Talia suggested quietly. They reached the coordinates by mid-afternoon, a sheer rock face nestled between towering peaks. Nothing suggested an entrance or facility, just barren rock and ice. "Are you certain this is it?" Lei asked, checking their navigation systems. Elijah stared at the cliff face, remembering Nestra's words. "The key is in the stars," he murmured, then looked up. "Farida, when the stars are visible tonight, can you identify these configurations?" After sunset, Farida used specialized equipment to project the night sky onto the rock wall. There, Elijah pointed, recognizing a pattern from his drawings. "Can you overlay my sketches onto the projection?" As Farida adjusted the alignment, the projected star patterns matched perfectly with subtle indentations in the rock face, indentations too geometrically precise to be natural. "It's a map," Darius whispered. "Or a lock." Lei approached the wall, running her fingers along the indentations. "These aren't random imperfections. They've been engineered at a microscopic level." Following the pattern, Elijah pressed specific points in sequence. A deep rumbling emanated from within the mountain, and a previously invisible seam appeared in the rock, widening into an entrance large enough to walk through. Jonathan stared in disbelief. "That's impossible. Our scans should have detected a cavity." "Unless it was shielded somehow," Farida replied, checking her instruments. Even now, readings show solid rock. The passage beyond was smooth and descending, illuminated by a soft blue bioluminescence that activated as they entered. The walls bore inscriptions matching symbols from Elijah's dreams. These markings, Darius photographed them, excitement evident in his voice. They share characteristics with no known human writing system. The passage ended at a circular chamber with 7 doorways. At the center stood a crystalline structure resembling a control panel. "Don't touch anything," Farida warned as they examined the chamber. That night, camping in the entrance tunnel, Elijah dreamed more vividly than ever. Nestra appeared wearing ceremonial attire, her skin pulsing with internal light. "You have found the outer threshold," she said. "Tomorrow, the path continues downward. Choose the 3rd passage, it leads to the archive. The others lead to complications." "What is this place?" Elijah asked. "Who built it?" "My people walked Earth's surface when your ancestors sheltered in caves. We were the Vidari, watchers of worlds. What you found is merely the antechamber to our legacy." When Elijah shared this information the next morning, the team debated their next move. "This is already the archaeological discovery of the millennium," Darius argued. "We should return with a larger team, proper equipment." "The storm will hit in 18 hours, Farida reminded them. "If we leave now, we might not be able to return for months." Elijah studied the 7 doorways. Nestra was specific about the 3rd passage. "I think we're meant to continue." Jonathan nodded. "I didn't finance this expedition to turn back now." They prepared carefully, leaving emergency supplies at the entrance before proceeding through the 3rd doorway. The passage descended steeply, technology evident in its construction growing more advanced with each level they descended. 5 hours later, they emerged onto a balcony overlooking an immense cavern. Below them, partially illuminated by the same blue bioluminescence, stretched the unmistakable skyline of a city. The underground city stretched before them, a technological marvel preserved in darkness for millennia. Buildings of unknown material rose in geometric precision, connected by elevated pathways. At the city's center stood a massive dome structure, pulsing with faint blue light. "Impossible," breathed Farida, her scientific mind struggling to process the sight. A civilization this advanced, hidden beneath Antarctica. Lay examined the architecture through binoculars. "These structures, they're not built, they're grown. Some kind of crystalline metallic composite." "We need to get down there," Elijah said, scanning for a path to the cavern floor. They found an intact spiral ramp descending from the balcony. As they carefully made their way down, dormant systems throughout the city began activating, lights flickering to life, holographic displays appearing mid-air, mechanisms humming with renewed energy. "It's responding to our presence," Talia observed. "Or specifically to yours, Elijah." Upon reaching the cavern floor, they followed illuminated pathways toward the central dome. The closer they got to the structure, the stronger Elijah's connection to Nestra became. He could feel her presence tugging at his consciousness even while awake. "The air here," Darius noted, checking his equipment. "It's perfectly oxygenated. Ventilation systems must still be operational." Inside smaller structures along their route, they discovered preservation chambers containing artifacts, tools of unknown purpose, garments made from impossibly thin material, and data storage devices beyond current human technology. Jonathan picked up a small crystalline object. "This civilization was at least thousands of years ahead of us technologically." "Put that down," Farida warned. "We don't know." The object activated at Jonathan's touch, projecting a 3-dimensional star map above their heads. Constellations unfamiliar to Earth rotated slowly. "Those aren't our stars," Lay whispered. As they approached the central dome, Elijah suddenly stumbled, overwhelmed by Nestra's presence flooding his mind. "The sanctuary opens for you," her voice echoed in his thoughts. "Place your hand on the entrance panel." Following her guidance, Elijah approached the seamless dome wall where a panel illuminated at his presence. He placed his palm against it, feeling a slight tingling sensation. The material rippled like liquid, creating an opening. "How did you know to do that?" Talia asked. "Nestra showed me," Elijah replied. "She's here, not physically, but her consciousness is embedded in this place." Inside the dome, they discovered a circular chamber dominated by a pool of luminescent liquid at its center. 7 crystalline pillars surrounded the pool, each inscribed with symbols matching those from Elijah's dreams. "It's some kind of control room," Lay suggested, examining the technology without touching anything. Elijah approached the pool, drawn by instinct. The liquid surface rippled, and Nestra's image formed above it, more defined than in his dreams, almost solid. "Welcome, Elijah Wade and companions," she spoke, her voice audible to everyone now. "You have discovered the archive of the Vidari." The team stood transfixed as Nestra's projection solidified. "Who are the Vidari?" Darius asked. "How long have you been here?" "We walked Earth's surface 100,000 of your years ago," Nestra explained. "We were researchers, explorers from a system you would call Kepler 62. We established outposts across your world, studying its development." "You're saying aliens visited prehistoric Earth?" Jonathan asked incredulously. "We were here before your species evolved consciousness," Nestra corrected. "We watched your earliest ancestors with great interest." "Why did you leave?" Elijah asked the question that burned strongest. The projection flickered, showing images of celestial movements, solar flares, and global climate change. "A great cycle in your star's behavior threatened all life on Earth. We departed, but left behind this sanctuary containing our knowledge, with guardians like myself, consciousness imprints, to guide worthy successors when they emerged." Farida stepped forward. "These guardians, they've been waiting all this time. We exist in a suspended state, awakening periodically to assess Earth's development. Your species has reached a crucial threshold, capable of understanding our legacy, yet balanced precariously between self-destruction and transcendence." "Why Elijah?" Talia asked. "Why did you connect with him specifically?" Nestra's 3 eyes focused on Elijah. "His mind pattern carries rare receptive qualities. Additionally, his research created conceptual frameworks that made communication possible." Lay examined the pillars surrounding the pool. "What exactly is stored here?" "Everything," Nestra replied simply. "Our scientific understanding, technological achievements, philosophical systems, and galactic knowledge. The accumulated wisdom of a civilization millions of years older than humanity." Elijah felt the weight of the moment. "You said there was urgency, a cycle returning?" Nestra's projection displayed astronomical calculations. "Your sun enters a phase of increased instability. Within 3 generations, Earth will face challenges similar to those that forced our departure. The knowledge contained here can help humanity prepare." As the team absorbed this revelation, a distant rumbling shook the chamber. "The storm," Farida checked her tablet. "It's arrived earlier than predicted and it's much stronger. We're cut off from the surface." Nestra's form rippled with concern. "The sanctuary's defensive systems will protect us, but activation protocols must be completed or vital systems will remain dormant." "What do we need to do?" Elijah asked. "You must fully connect with the archive's primary interface," Nestra explained. "Your mind has already begun the integration process through our dream sharing. Complete neural synchronization will awaken the city's core systems." "Is it safe?" Talia asked, concern evident in her voice. Nestra's expression conveyed uncertainty. "The process was designed for Vidari physiology. Adaptation for human neural patterns has been ongoing through our dream connections, but risks remain." Elijah approached the luminescent pool. "If this knowledge can save humanity from what's coming, the risk is worth taking." "Step into the pool," Nestra instructed. Your physical form will remain here while your consciousness expands. As Elijah removed his boots and stepped toward the glowing liquid, Jonathan grabbed his arm. Think about this. We could bring more specialists, proper equipment. There's no time, Elijah replied. I've been preparing for this moment without realizing it. Nestra's been gradually adapting my mind through our connections. Before anyone could object further, Elijah stepped into the pool. The luminescent fluid enveloped him, suspending him in its glow as his eyes closed and his consciousness expanded beyond the chamber, beyond the underground city, connecting with the entirety of the Vidari archive. Elijah floated in the luminescent pool, his physical body immobile while his consciousness expanded through the Vidari archive. The team watched anxiously as the liquid around him pulsed with increasing intensity, holographic displays activating throughout the chamber. His vital signs are stable, Talia reported, monitoring the portable medical scanner they'd brought. But his brain activity is off the charts. Within the neural interface, Elijah experienced millennia of Vidari history and knowledge. He witnessed their evolution on a distant world, their development of consciousness transfer technology, and their eventual journey to Earth 100,000 years ago. The Vidari hadn't merely visited Earth, they had cultivated it, accelerating biological diversity and monitoring the development of early hominids. We recognized your species' potential, Nestra's consciousness explained as they moved through the shared mind space. Your adaptability, creativity, and capacity for abstract thought marked you as potential inheritors. Elijah absorbed information about the solar cycle that had forced the Vidari departure, a recurring period of intense solar activity that triggered catastrophic climate shifts every 100,000 years. According to their calculations, Earth was approaching another such cycle. We left sanctuary cities at strategic locations around your planet, Nestra continued. Antarctica was chosen for the primary archive due to the ice sheet's protective properties. There are more installations like this? Elijah asked within the interface. 7 in total. Some have been discovered and destroyed by your civilizations over time. 3 remain intact, awaiting activation. The knowledge transfer intensified. Elijah learned that the Vidari hadn't gone extinct but had relocated to a star system 40 light-years from Earth. They maintained distant monitoring of Earth's development, waiting for humanity to reach sufficient technological advancement. After what felt like both moments and eternities, the liquid surrounding Elijah's physical form began to recede. He emerged from the pool, eyes glowing with the same blue luminescence, conscious of both his human identity and the vast Vidari knowledge now integrated with his mind. Elijah? Talia approached cautiously. Are you all right? I'm more than all right, he replied, his voice overlaid with harmonic tones. I understand everything now. The central chamber hummed with energy as dormant systems throughout the underground city activated fully. Holographic interfaces appeared around the team, displaying information in both Vidari symbols and translated English. The Vidari weren't conquerors or colonizers, Elijah explained to his awestruck colleagues. They were guardians and cultivators. They watched over Earth for thousands of years, guiding its development without direct interference. Why did they leave? Jonathan asked. A solar event, a massive coronal ejection coupled with magnetic pole reversal. It happened cyclically, approximately every 100,000 years. The last event coincided with a major extinction and climate shift. Elijah gestured to a holographic display showing astronomical calculations. And it's happening again, beginning within the next century. Farida studied the projections. These models show disruptions far beyond anything in our climate predictions. Because your models don't account for solar magnetic field oscillations at this scale, Elijah explained, accessing Vidari knowledge. The coming event will trigger catastrophic climate destabilization unless humanity prepares. And that's why this place exists. Lay asked. To warn us. To help us survive, Elijah corrected. The archive contains technologies that can shield Earth from the worst effects, atmospheric stabilization systems, energy production methods beyond anything we've conceived. Darius examined the newly activated information displays. This changes everything, our understanding of human origins, our place in the cosmos. The Vidari recognized early humans as having potential, Elijah explained. They observed our development for thousands of years before determining we might eventually become worthy partners. Partners in what? Jonathan asked. A galactic community, Elijah replied. The Vidari maintain connections with 12 other spacefaring civilizations. They've been waiting for humanity to mature enough for introduction. Talia approached one of the displays showing Vidari biological information. Were they physically here? The environmental conditions. They adapted themselves to Earth, Elijah explained. Their original form is quite different, but they developed biological interfaces to interact with Earth's environment. The holograms shifted to show the current location of Vidari civilization, a cluster of planets orbiting Kepler, 62, 40 light-years from Earth. They're still out there, Farida whispered. Waiting for us to find them. Yes, Elijah confirmed. And now that we've activated the archive, they know we're ready for contact. Lay examined the technological schematics now displayed throughout the chamber. These energy systems, they're beyond theoretical physics as we understand it. Implementing them would transform human civilization overnight. Which is why the knowledge transfer must be carefully managed, Elijah cautioned. The Vidari learned through bitter experience that technological advancement without ethical development leads to civilization collapse. The storm above continued to rage, but the sanctuary remained secure, its ancient systems maintaining perfect environmental conditions. What happens now? Jonathan asked. Elijah approached a crystalline console that had emerged from the chamber floor. Now we activate the communication array. The Vidari left settlement ships in hibernation at the edge of our solar system. With the archive activated, they can be awakened. Settlement ships? Talia asked. You mean they're coming back? Representatives, Elijah clarified. To guide humanity through the coming solar transition and facilitate our introduction to the wider galactic community. As Elijah interfaced with the console, the team watched in amazement as dormant systems throughout the underground city hummed to life. Massive energy reactors powered up, environmental regulators expanded their field to analyze Earth's current conditions, and deep beneath the sanctuary, something truly remarkable awakened. There's more to this facility than just information storage, Elijah revealed. The entire complex is built around a quantum communication node, instantaneous connection across light-years. The central pool transformed, its surface now displaying real-time images from the other side of the galaxy, the current Vidari homeworld. Alien landscapes and architecture appeared, followed by the image of beings similar to Nestra. Connection established, announced a voice from the interface. Protocols for reintegration beginning. Sanctuary activation confirmed. Guardian consciousness transfer initiated. Elijah turned to his colleagues, his expression simultaneously joyful and solemn. Humanity stands at a crossroads. The knowledge contained here can save us from the coming solar event, but it also irrevocably changes our place in the universe. We are no longer alone, and we never truly were. The Antarctic storm raged for 3 days while Elijah and his team remained in the sanctuary, exploring only a fraction of the vast knowledge contained in the Vidari archive. With each passing hour, Elijah's integration with the collected wisdom deepened, his consciousness expanding beyond human limitations while still maintaining his core identity. The quantum communication array is fully operational, Lay announced on the morning of the 4th day. We're receiving data streams from the Vidari settlement ships. How far are they? Farida asked, examining the astronomical display. Currently in the Kuiper belt, Elijah answered, accessing information through his neural link. They've been in hibernation mode for 90,000 years, positioned as sentinels. 5 ships, each carrying approximately 200 Vidari representatives. Darius looked up from a historical database he'd been studying. According to these records, the Vidari maintained observation posts on Earth until roughly 12,000 years ago. Some human mythologies about sky people or shining ones may have originated from limited contact. Jonathan paced the chamber, conflicted. We need to consider how we present this to the world. The political, religious, and social implications are enormous. We won't be alone in making that decision, Elijah said. The other two active sanctuaries are responding to our activation signal. Where? Talia asked. One beneath the Gobi Desert, another under the Atlantic Ocean near the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. Their guardian consciousnesses are awakening. The communication pool rippled, forming the image of a Vidari elder, distinguished by elaborate markings on her blue-tinted skin and a crown-like neural interface. I am Sentinel Voron, she introduced herself, voice resonating through the chamber. Lead observer of Earth Settlement Initiative. After 90 millennia of waiting, we rejoice at your awakening. Elijah stepped forward, responding in the Vidari language he now understood perfectly. The others watched in amazement as the alien responded with what appeared to be emotional recognition. She's welcomed us to what translates roughly as the Assembly of Conscious Worlds, Elijah explained to his colleagues. The Vidari are part of a collective of civilizations that share knowledge while maintaining cultural independence. Will they help us with the coming solar event? Farida asked. Elijah nodded. That's their primary purpose for returning. The technology to shield Earth exists, but implementation requires their guidance. What's the timeline? Jonathan asked. The settlement ships will reach Earth orbit within 6 months, Elijah answered. Before then, we need to prepare humanity for contact. Lay examined the sanctuary's environmental controls. The storm has passed. We should be able to establish surface communications now. As the team prepared for their return journey, carrying data crystals containing carefully selected portions of Vidari knowledge, Elijah felt Nestra's consciousness merge more completely with his own. Unlike earlier interactions, this wasn't an external communication but an integration, her essence becoming part of him, a living bridge between species. Your mind now contains the core archive, Nestra's voice explained within his thoughts. You are the first human Vidari consciousness bridge, neither fully human nor Vidari, but something new. Will I lose myself? Elijah wondered internally. No. Integration preserves both consciousnesses. Together, we become guide and interpreter for both civilizations. The team emerged from the mountain passage into brilliant Antarctic sunshine. Their communication equipment, powered by Vidari energy cells, easily connected to global networks despite their remote location. Who do we contact first? Talia asked as they established a secure connection. Not governments, Jonathan said firmly. Not yet. They'll attempt to militarize or monopolize this discovery. I agree, Elijah said. We need a coalition of scientists, ethicists, and cultural leaders from across the world, people who can help humanity process this revelation responsibly. Within days, a carefully selected group of 37 experts from various disciplines arrived at the research station nearest to the sanctuary. They represented diverse cultures, religions, and scientific fields, chosen for their intellectual flexibility and ethical reputations. Dr. Amara Okafor, a renowned physicist, was the first to enter the sanctuary with Elijah's team. Upon seeing the Vidari technology, she whispered, "Everything we thought we knew about physics is just the beginning," Elijah finished for her. The Vidari understanding of quantum mechanics alone will advance Earth science by centuries. As the selected experts examined the archive over subsequent weeks, Elijah worked with them to develop a global introduction strategy. The plan they created would reveal humanity's cosmic heritage gradually, beginning with the practical need to prepare for the coming solar event. 3 months after the sanctuary's discovery, Elijah addressed the United Nations General Assembly. The session was broadcast globally to an audience of billions. People of Earth, he began, his voice carrying harmonic undertones that captivated listeners, throughout human history, we have looked to the stars and wondered if we are alone. Today, I can tell you with certainty, we never were. The revelation unfolded carefully, evidence presented methodically, initial technological offerings demonstrated, and the coming solar threat explained. Panic was minimized through emphasis on both the timeframe for preparation and the solutions available. When images of the approaching Vidari ships were finally shared, humanity experienced its first unified moment of cosmic awareness. Religious leaders found ways to incorporate the revelation into existing frameworks. Scientists eagerly embraced new frontiers of knowledge. Ordinary people processed the information in countless individual ways. 6 months later, Elijah stood at the designated landing site in a remote region of New Zealand, chosen for its geological stability and natural beauty. Behind him stood representatives from every nation, watching the sky as the first Vidari ship descended through the atmosphere, a crystalline vessel that moved with impossible grace. The ship landed silently, a portal materializing in its seamless hull. The first Vidari to set foot on Earth in 12,000 years emerged, tall, blue-skinned beings with 3 luminescent eyes, moving with fluid grace in Earth's gravity. Their leader approached Elijah, recognizing the dual consciousness he carried. They touched foreheads in the traditional Vidari greeting, forming a temporary neural connection. The circle completes, the Vidari expressed directly into Elijah's mind. Guardian and guided become one. A new partnership begins. That evening, as humanity's representatives began formal diplomatic relations with the Vidari delegation, Elijah stood alone beneath the stars. Within his expanded consciousness, Nestra's presence felt like a companion rather than an intrusion. Was this always the plan, he asked internally. For humans to join this galactic community? The universe flowers with consciousness in many forms, Nestra's essence responded. The Vidari recognized the same spark in early humans that had ignited our own civilization's rise. Partnership was always the hope, though never guaranteed. Elijah looked upward at stars that now held new meaning, not distant, unreachable points of light, but beacons of civilizations waiting to be known. What happens next, he wondered. Something unprecedented, came the response. 2 species with complementary strengths, united by shared knowledge, facing a universe of possibilities. The true awakening is just beginning. As dawn broke over humanity's first day as a known participant in galactic civilization, Elijah Wade, now both more and less than human, prepared to guide his species through their greatest transformation. The whispers across the stars had finally been answered, and the response would echo through the cosmos for millennia to come.